At 9 points, nobody wins, nobody loses.
Yeah.
So is a tie like kissing your sister? Now, if you happen to be on the side of the Texans in that ball game, you caught a miracle.
Yes.
And if you were already counting your money, you were standing in line at the window going, 2,000 on the Chiefs. You feel like a fucking asshole. Sportsbook managers looking at it and you go, we're giving everybody their money back who had it at 9. But the call was justified. So you take all of the risk out of that play if you're Andy Reid. If you had it at 8.5, you're feeling pretty good. Chiefs, are they vulnerable? Maybe. Or are they getting such favorable officiating?
Yes.
Lubie, that it's to the point where there should be some kind of an investigation launched. I don't know. Is this a Taylor Swift conspiracy type of thing? We'll probably hear more about that at the inauguration today when Trump goes in. You know what? I fucking had the Texans on the money line.
Exactly.
See, now that would maybe endear me to the idea that emboldened me that maybe the next 4 years wouldn't be so rough. I always liked it when Barack Obama was doing brackets, although he was a chalk-eating motherfucker.
He was horrendous at it.
With all the favorites. Okay. Hey, Michelle, does this guy pick anything but favorites?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Is that going to be his legacy? Barack Obama.
Chalk-eating pig.
He was a chalk-eating motherfucker. After yesterday, you know what? That would be a welcome change from whatever took place there. That was absolutely bizarre yesterday. It was pardon me, my friends. First, Biden's, it's rubber stamping pardons for like 8 million people. And then the Trumpster comes in. Never mind that 5 cops were dead. That should... why wouldn't you overlook that? And just say, you know what, let them all out. That's good. Now we're trying to keep these criminals from Venezuela out, he keeps pointing out. But let's let the people that were defacing and damaging federal property, breaking windows, busting into Nancy Pelosi's office, wearing all kinds of weird Viking gear as they stormed the Capitol building. We're going to hang Mike Pence, and 5 cops dead. I mean, that shouldn't be something that you just shrug your shoulders at and go, well, it's only 5. I tried my best to ignore it yesterday, and I don't know how I'm going to hold up over 4 years.
You can't ignore it. Like that's what I kept trying to tell people. Like during the campaign,
people are applauding it though, Lubie. I mean, they're applauding this.
They're applauding it because they're not listening. Again, you know how people are. A majority of us can see what can happen and feel for it. There is a part of the world that we've learned that until it happens to them, they don't give a shit. But everything that went down.
Pretty much everybody, isn't it?
It's not me. I don't. I actually care about the world at large because I realize it will affect me at some point.
Yes.
So why would I wait for that day? It's just the whole election. It was like you miss every hour some crazy shit. Like under Biden, you'd go. I think when I went years without having to worry about any big, like whatever it wasn't really going to be bad. Even if it was something people didn't like, it wasn't going to be bad. Like it wasn't that long ago he was president, and it was every hour of every day where you'd get something going. What the fuck? No one even thought. No one. Wait, what?
Yes. People embrace chaos. Maybe that's why I watch MMA and UFC. Unbelievable. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you guys. This is day number 2. Now we're locked in with Bleacher Brothers and all of their various platforms.
Yes.
All right.
Well, not all. We're on Twitter. We still haven't gotten to YouTube yet, but we're on their Twitter, and that's their powerhouse. So excited to be there.
That's the one you want. That's X. Although that whole Seek Heil thing with Elon Musk. I mean, maybe it was just an odd spastic gesture that he made.
How was that an odd? That's my favorite.
That's the funny thing about those 4 years with the Trump series. You just couldn't make this shit up. You're looking at it going, my God, this is the president of the United States. Now, I know that's not going to be a popular opinion with the majority, which is really hard to comprehend for me. I mean, I was a creature of the hippy-dippy era there, where we thought we were responsible for getting Nixon out of office and maybe ending the war in Vietnam, where we were out in the streets protesting, burning draft cards, doing all kinds of shit. And so it meant a lot to me at the time, and it was kind of ingrained in me to care about the country. But I think it's going to be you'd be better off, just thinking about how the Dolphins are going to make the Super Bowl
Yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. And
from where they're at today. All right, we had the college football playoff game last night. Entertaining ball game, no? And the mathematical calculations and permutations that you go through as you're trying to figure out. And I realized this, Lubie. I am an ancient fossil Cro-Magnon man when it comes to betting. I don't even know why I'm hosting a gambling show there on nofilter.net. And we did one here for a while and may resurrect it again on Bleacher Brothers. License to Steal, what was a show. We had some excellent handicappers. For the most part, we're winning. AJ Johnson, who's running the network and has a well-vested interest in the whole thing. Hey, where's my money going? No, a good guy. And Stone, hot handicapper also. I mean, he was on a run. Enormous. So there's definitely a gambling influence here. But how old school is it just to be worried about the side and the point spread and maybe the over-under?
Honestly.
Does anybody give a shit about that anymore? I mean, am I the only one that's agonizing? Literally taking out one of those old calculus things and what was it, trigonometry, where you had the slide rule? What?
So I never did, or calculus. I never did math past algebra 2. So good for you.
That's algebra. Yeah, you had the slide rule.
I never did any of that. The higher level. I did algebra, but I never did calculus or trig. So if you did, good for you. I did not.
You know what's funny about calculus? Somebody showed me a method of getting to the answer to calculus problems, and it was like one of these amazing Kreskin things, where you ask somebody what their favorite color is, they say yellow. You ask them what their favorite food is, they say chicken parmesan. You ask them what their favorite movie was, they say Shawshank Redemption, and then you go, the answer is 0.00008. And it would be right. And you're like, what? How is that possible? So I had a method of figuring out calculus problems, and it was foolproof. It came up with the right answer every time without any actual, method that would be involved normally in figuring out these equations. So we used to get all the answers right on the test, and I would get like a 25 on the test for getting all the answers right. And the comment in red in the margin was always, must show your work.
Because I think you're cheating. That's why they
it was a form of cheating, but
whatever. You're not looking
at it. Was a legitimate way of coming to the conclusive answer of calculus propositions. And it wasn't really widely accepted by the teachers as you try to explain it to them. Hey, what's your favorite color? I ask every. Come up with the right. Did you ever have something like it? Was the strangest thing. I don't remember the entire MO of how we came up with that, but it was foolproof. You would come up with the right answer every time. Meanwhile, all of these other geniuses. Remember, I don't know that you ever did this, Lubie, but when I was at Syracuse in my senior year, I had to pass a calculus class. And I started dating the red-haired girl with the freckles because she was the one that was going to get the right answers. And so you wanted to sit near her and hope that she was amenable to the idea that, could you just slide your elbow a little bit while we're taking the test?
I love that. It's exactly what Andy just said. He's like, yeah, you just copied the girl in front of you.
It was a red-headed girl with the freckles. So I'm trying to do all these permutations last night. It's 31-15.
Oh yeah.
Well, when it was 31-7 at one point.
Yeah, third quarter.
Final was 34-23. 31-7. You're thinking you're pretty safe.
Yep.
That there's not much chance that Notre Dame. They didn't look like they were in a position to really fire back, and they come back and they end up making it 31-15. Now you're wondering. In this case, I was laying 9 points. I think the game went off at 8. And certainly many people had it at 8.5 or lower than the 9 points that I was accorded, because I was involved with a guy, as I've mentioned many times, that was getting his lines out of the Jewish Journal.
Here, of course, it's 8 and a hook. So
everywhere else. But regardless of that, I mean, it was gonna end up possibly on 8, which it was very briefly before the Ohio State orchestrated that final drive, which didn't look like they were intent on scoring, did it, Lubie? And yet, if they were just going to run quarterback dives up the middle and have them scramble around for a second, kill a few seconds, and then gain 0 yards, then you were thinking, I might be dead in this spot.
You may lose. That's the thing is, I didn't mind. We talked about it. Get a big lead, throw the ball, and then if you want to run, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with running to end a game. but you have to be gaining yards. Like, you can't run to end a game and be punting after a 3 and out. Like,
Yes.
And they had done that 2 drives in a row. It's like, okay, now it's 8 guys. Like,
let's quit fucking around, Ryan Day. Exactly.
You better do something. Or even I thought they were going to win, but it was like, they're not. I don't think they win by 8. Like, this is going to drag out, and it's now when you're up by 24. You don't want this. Like,
you don't want to walk out a loser if you lay the 8.5, or even 9 in this case. So, somewhat miraculous that it ended the way that it did. That third down pass was, just an absolute thing of beauty, and yet it still wasn't enough. You're still sitting there thinking, okay, so how many seconds are in a minute? 60. And they're about just under 2 minutes to go. That's 120. So if there's 40 seconds on the play clock, whose idea was it to put 40 seconds on a play clock? Doesn't that need to come down a little bit? Let's speed up the game. The game took like 8 hours. Or is that mostly because of the halftime show, which I didn't see? I missed that part of it. But, wow, I mean, it came down to the wire. And of course, you're praying that there's enough time on the clock to have Ohio State in a position where it was advantageous for them to go ahead and try the field goal. And they did, and they made it. There was an earlier controversy there with Marcus Freeman. Most people were outraged and enraged that, can you be both, enraged and outraged? Yes. That he went for that field goal. There were about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. What did you think of that move? He justified it, and I almost bought it, but I remember being appalled by the idea that he was going for that field goal because they were down 16 at the time. And so the field goal was going to cut it to 13 with 9 minutes to go, but Ohio State throughout the ball game, for the most part, had been executing long and time-consuming drives. So you're asking yourself, oh, okay, you're still going to be down 2 touchdowns. You win the game if you get 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points. So maybe that makes it a little bit easier. And that was Freeman's justification, was that it's easier to get 2 7-point scores than it would be to get 2 8-point scores to tie the game if you fail in that spot. But would you not be better off? Is it not more beneficial to take one last shot? It was 4th and 9.
It was 4th and long, and their offense was stalling. Look, Mayo texted, and of course he went where I was waiting for you to go, and I just left it alone because I was numb yesterday.
It was Cristobal X, yeah.
He's like, when did Cristobal start coaching Notre Dame? And yes, it feels Cristobal-esque. It is dumb. It's just dumb. It's like, take the chance, whatever. But the rationale is, at least now you take away the 2-point conversions, and again, they struggle to score at all. So if you make 2-point conversions, you're asking for 4 scores. Like, if you don't have 2-point conversions, you just have to get 2 scores. So it still wasn't smart. It wasn't sound football coaching.
At that time, the way the game was going, you're thinking, geez, you better go for it here. And they ended up getting no points, so it didn't help.
Yeah, they bricked the field goal, so it made it look even fucking dumber because they didn't even get the field goal.
Didn't even get it, right. So now you really feel like an ass. The logic goes out the window because your guy shanked the ball and doinked it off the goalpost there, and it was one of those thud balls that hits the goalpost straight on and then comes bounding back. And now you're just as dead in the water as you were a couple of minutes before. Needing 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, which they were accomplishing very easily. Those 2-point conversions came with great simplicity, did they not? A trick play, though, on the one that got them within 8 points, and that left everybody in just a heavy state of anxiety, whichever side you were on. Because if you're Notre Dame, if you had Notre Dame in the game, you're thinking, okay, I got this. Wow, miracle. Looks like they were getting blown out. And if you were on the Ohio State side of things and laying 8, 8.5, 9 points, you're asking yourself, why you even bothered to go to your wallet before you went to the casino? Because what a mess. I can't believe you're going to lose this game that you were dominating throughout the first 3 quarters of the ballgame. Interesting, too, that Notre Dame, they knifed it right down the field in the opening drive. Mostly with Riley Leonard just running simple sort of half quarterback draws up the middle.
Yeah.
How did Ryan Day not account for that? I mean, did Marcus Freeman completely outfox the defensive coordinator of Ohio State?
I mean,
they weren't doing anything. I mean, this was the ultimate simplicity. It looked like an old Army-Navy game of sorts.
I mean, they then didn't score again until like the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
So they're like, you see that in game, like the Dolphins would like have these great drives and then go through 4 straight drives without getting a first down. Like, I mean, so they did account for it, and it made the game very boring for like a half, And then Ryan Day dayed. And the third quarter, they just stalled offensively, allowing Notre Dame to wake up. It's funny, because I didn't have a side like you guys. I figured Ohio State was going to win, but it was like I wanted a game, so I soft was rooting when Notre Dame would have the ball, because it's like, come on, let's just make this interesting. Like Ohio State's going to win this. Like I didn't think for a second they would make it that. Like I didn't think that fumble would happen. Like they were about to go in and score.
Look, they look to be dead. I mean, completely finished. They were gargling with embalming fluid, trying to figure out what they were going to do next. Now, where does this leave us? Let's get into a few things. Some of the storylines that we were following now for the last several weeks. Ohio State rebounding from that ugly loss to Michigan, where everybody wrote them off. I think they still were not overwhelmingly long to win the national championship, even after that ball game, where they're like 4 or 5-1 still.
Yeah,
the national championship. People figured they were going to get into the college football playoff. We didn't know how that was going to play out. A lot of complaints after the first round about all the blowouts. Many complaints after the second round. These conference champions were fugazi, and they didn't belong getting a bye in the first week of the postseason. Then things sort of mellowed a little bit as we got to the semifinals, because you had a couple of decent ball games. Texas gave Ohio State a nice challenge. The Sarkisian play will stick out as one of the bonehead calls of all time in the history of not just college, but all football, even going down to Pop Warner.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
The pitch from your half-yard line to throw the ball 5 to 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then not block a guy who is coming off the left side. Just absolutely abysmal thinking on the part of Steve Sarkisian, who's supposed to be some kind of offensive wizard, isn't he?
He's a great play caller. Like that's why I like your term "don't get cute," because you're not saying with that call that they're an idiot. No, you're saying don't be an idiot. You're saying if someone was an idiot, then they're just it wouldn't be cute. It would just be what they do all the time. But you're giving credit to who they are as a football mind, because you'll do it in every sport. I've heard you say it.
Yeah.
Again, like the Rays with that stupid ass thing and the guy that
Kevin Cash, one of the dumbest moves in the history of Major League Baseball.
To that point, he had been a good manager, but he lost his shit. Like Sarkisian, who had done a really good job in that game with the play calling and had done what they hadn't done in a while. Texas showed, yes, we have the same level of talent as Ohio State. We're really the only team in the country that has the same level of talent like Ohio State. We screwed around early, but we're in this game. We have a chance to tie this fucking game up. And then he lost his mind.
That was beyond insane. I mean, of all the things that you could possibly do, why not just run a Statue of Liberty at that point? Exactly. That play never worked in the Sandlot, did it?
No, obviously you hit
the quarterback would drop back, act like he was Johnny Unitas, like he had his arm cocked like he was going to pass, and then the runner would come around and grab the ball and run to the right end. Never worked. Usually the kid got shellacked, ended up injured, had to go home crying to his mother after getting completely annihilated, taking the handoff. And the quarterback also ended up buried in the ground. So
exactly.
Dumbest fucking play you could ever call. And that's kind of where Sarkisian was. So that round, with Penn State and Notre Dame was an interesting ball game. So things started to pick up. And I thought you had decent entertainment last night. It was a ball game that looked like it was going to be pretty ugly. I turned away for a while, came back to it, and then all of a sudden Notre Dame was back in it, largely because, as you said, possibly Ryan Day putting a lid on things made it possible. Always good to allow the other team to come right back into the ball instead of burying them. You fool. And then I wake up to pop online. First thing I see is, will Ryan Day stay at Ohio State or get the consideration for a pro job?
I mean, if he's smart, he should take it. I mean, they were questioning, like they showed last night, greatest winning percentages ever. He's like third behind Rockney.
They were Newt Rockney. Fucking Rockney never lost a game.
It's like, who are you getting rid of this guy for? I get you're pissed that he gets you real close and you don't win, but ask an FSU fan or a Kane fan or a Gator fan. We'd be very happy to get close.
Certain guys were meant to coach on the college level. I don't know if Ryan Day fits that category.
He's young enough. I mean, I could see him trying.
But, should not, like Bobby Bowden could never have been a pro coach, I don't believe.
No,
but
no.
I don't think he was just made for that.
Yes.
Go into a living room somewhere in the bowels of Mississippi and say, Mama, I'd like another slice of that meatloaf here. and maybe little Johnny can sign right here on the dotted line. We'll make sure we take good care of him. We'll treat him just like he was supposed to. You can't get away with that crap anymore, can you?
No, not now. You definitely could. You can get rid of that in the NFL.
Wow. Not a kid sitting there with a CPA. He's got his agent, Scott Morris, is on the phone on a consultation. And on the other side, you got the coach, and he's got Nevin Shapiro sitting there with a stack of cash and some kind of jewelry that was specially manufactured to show the kid that the school really cared more about him than any of the others who were lined up outside trying to make some kind of phenomenal offer as well. It's almost like the recruitment. Remember the recruitment of LeBron James when he was a free agent before he came to Miami?
Mm-hmm.
And you had these billionaires like Mickey Arison just groveling at his feet. Oh, LeBron, please. Being made fools of by LeBron James. Every owner was in there just doing anything in their power to try and impress LeBron James that he was the most coveted guy in the history of the world, which I think LeBron James, what we've seen of him, he sort of enjoys having that distinction. That and I don't know that he has it anymore, but nonetheless, still, I mean, a remarkable career, and it was worth every penny and every bit of effort that the Heat put in because that was their last two championships. And what's the latest now? I mean, are things just all of a sudden there's no more acrimony? I don't hear anything about Jimmy Butler being traded, wanting out of here. When is the NBA trade deadline? When does this have to transpire?
February. It's February. That's why. I mean, look, it's what it should have been all along. He's not happy. If you're watching these games, like he's sulking still on the like they showed Bam had this ridiculous dunk and everyone's jumping up and down, and Butler's like doing a golf clap. Like, I mean, no, it's just it is what it is. He wants out. The Heat are open to accommodating him. They've gotten no offers. Like teams don't want him, and like the only team that wants him is the Suns, and they're not willing to give up anything real. Like they're not going to give up Booker. They're not going to give up Durant. No one wants Beal. Beal is Booker is Butler, but worse. He's a worse player with a worse contract. Like so, it's not like people who are like, well, he just need to make a move. To who? No one wants him. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
There's zero leverage.
I won't give him it's not even about the leverage part. It's like there's no one that wants Jimmy Butler. Like you can't make teams take him. God damn it! Like no one. He wants a max for 2 more years, and will be 36 this season. Like no one wants to pay him into it year 38, 39.
And
like,
he has a little Kyrie in him, doesn't he?
Well, now he never did. He would get angry because people didn't try hard enough. Now he's older and he has all these other interests, which is fine. And he's not hiding it. Like, okay, so then this is what it is. Like the Heat will trade him if they get a good offer. They're not, again, they don't lose because most times you're like, oh, you're going to really lose him and not get anything. Yeah, because they get $60 million. Like they're okay. They don't want to make a bad trade that gets into, I guess, 2026. Guys like De'Aaron Fox and Anthony Edwards come available, and both have mentioned coming here. So they don't want to eat into that year. Like, it's just simple math, but people would rather hear Shams is bored, and it's just easier to bitch about the Butler and the Heat than to be honest, like as we've seen in this fucking world where people were watching a dude do the thing we saw in the 30s on every fucking reel, and we know what that is, but
I think he just had an arm spasm or something.
Nah.
Can we make an excuse for that? I'm
not sure. He did it twice. Like, we know what he was doing. He's South. Our friend Ken is actually right again. It's very Flores-esque, where Ken has been talking about the South Africans for years and joking about it. The dude's evil as fuck, and the people like him are evil as fuck, and it was what it was, and it's fine. I don't know what it means. I don't know what I'm not saying I know what it means, but we know what that is. Like, so just stop.
We're probably one of the few shows that goes from Jimmy Butler trade talk to Steve Heil
Musk
handing out copies of Mein Kampf as a prize.
Like people do this thing with the Butler thing, like, oh, the Heat aren't the Blazers. The Heat don't want this, but they're not going to go here. Give us all your garbage and fuck us for the next 3 years. For this guy that isn't even going to be on our team next year.
They're better off just let him walk, I think, at this point, if they save the money. Because he's like a fixer-upper on 3 Mile Island.
Yes.
Where, okay, it's an island, but not necessarily the best place to live. And if you have to do some repairs to the home, what's its actual value? So
exactly.
That's where I'm at with Jimmy Butler. You haven't been hearing too much about it, though, the last couple of days. And he did post a victory. While Tyler Hero is establishing himself, this Joe Cronin has to be just face down in the gutter every day, the Portland Trailblazers general manager. who was sneering at the end. You're going to offer us what? As you've been using the phrase, who wants your garbage? They were actually viewing as if he was one of those little plastic bags. You're familiar with this now that you have a dog, Lubie, full of dog shit.
Yep.
And you're carrying it around talking to a neighbor, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm actually having a conversation with a man while I'm holding a bag of shit. Somebody calls you, you answer the phone. Hey, yeah, what are you doing? I'm carrying around a bag of shit right now. That's kind of what the Heater doing with Jimmy Butler at this point.
No, but
they did a win the other day, and Hero was supposed to be that bag of shit, and it turns out, which I told you, I had a little spark for Tyler Hero coming out of college. Although my one concern, as I've mentioned a few times over the years that he's here with the Heat, was that his 3-point shooting percentage as a collegian, that one year he was at Kentucky, wasn't overwhelmingly, it didn't seem all that efficient for a guy that's a chucker, basically.
No,
and afraid to hoist it, and does have an excellent touch from the outside. But, is he one of the great 3-point shooters of all time? He wasn't in college.
No. He's become better in the pros.
Shot like low 30s on percentage. So that was the one thing. You could see that he had moves, and much like Devin Booker, who we also spotted coming out of. I don't want to bring up Justice Winslow, Lubie, but what we spotted coming out of Kentucky, and that was on a Kentucky team that sent like 8 guys in the first round.
Yes.
And I had seen a little bit of Devin Booker, and I liked the way that he was able to create his own shot and then can that shot.
Yes, he was a really good shooter, even in Kentucky, in small doses.
Hero had some of that. He looked like the poor man's Devin Booker, only a little bit bigger.
He was bigger. He was able to get to the basket, and he was more aggressive. And remember, at that Kentucky team, I think he was their best player, so he was a bigger deal at Kentucky, but he wasn't a shooter yet. Like, people want him to be a shooter because he's white. So if you're white, you have to be a shooter. He actually wasn't. He was athletic, and he was good at ball handling in the basket and could shoot at times. He had become a shooter, which, as you can see, now he's well-rounded.
He's bombing away there, and very efficiently, which has to be pleasing to Pat Riley for keeping the guy and actually getting rejected. I mean, Cronin probably hung up the phone on Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah.
And said, Pat, you know what? The guy that played you in winning time gave a much more accurate depiction than this godlike figure that everybody thought of you as you were running the Showtime Lakers. Who was the actor that played him? I mean, Pat Riley.
Brody. He's an Oscar winner. He has a schnoz, and you don't like that he has a schnoz. He's a good actor.
What crap was that? You couldn't have painted a worse picture. I was surprised Riley didn't sue for defamation.
Riley actually has a decent sized nose. He
doesn't have like a Jimmy Durante.
No. Well, Brody's Jewish. He has that Jewish schnoz, like Riley.
Now you're going to get me in trouble from a political correct.
I'm saying it as a Jew. You did not say that. I'm saying it. I'm owning it. I don't care anymore. It is what the fuck it is.
Remember when that was an issue and Josh Rosen?
Yes. When people got mad at us, people literally called. They're like, "Oh, you anti-Semite." I'm like, I'm fucking Jewish. I'm probably more Jewish than you are, person who's calling.
Yeah.
Like, I observe the holidays. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's the way it is though today. People just pound on you. I got a call from Mercurio yesterday, and that was very nice. And he said he must have been looking at a different Facebook page because I think I have a couple of them out there. One's like a minor one.
You do.
And apparently on one of them, everybody is alluding to the idea that I am the worst handicapper that they've ever heard in their lifetime. And I didn't realize what he was talking about because, there's nothing like that on the page that I use.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's a couple of things there referencing betting and stuff from the shows that we do. But he was saying, wow, everybody thinks you're an asshole.
Well, I mean, that's not that.
Well, that could be. And after a while, you start to think, well, maybe I am. I don't know. I'll concede you that point. That's and getting back to just a quick conclusion here before we take a little time out. Wildly entertaining for the most part. I mean, is there not massive potential? Everybody's going to be talking about what changes they need to make. It's Bunny Miles here, where my mind keeps going through them changes. Do you really need to make a massive amount of changes to the college football playoff system, or was it not far more satisfying that even though they did not win their conference championship, Ohio State became the champion because at the end of the year, after qualifying, they played 4 really good games in succession.
What I mean, they had the toughest road. Every team they played at one point was a team that was a legit top 5 team. No other one in the playoff faced anything like that. I mean, Tennessee was really good. Like, they had the toughest road and they beat the shit out of everyone until the end when they faced a Notre, and they were beating the shit out of Notre Dame. I mean, people always do that. Well, the best team didn't win. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I know that I like the tournament style. To me, I thought about that last time. Like, that's crazy that these college kids just beat like 4 teams in like a 3 to 4 week span. Like, just winning one game used to be hard. Like, to go through 4 teams, the most talented team, and then find a way to get there with all that Ryan Day was hearing.
Sure.
Like, I like that you have to fight. It's like the gauntlet. It's like, that's what sports is supposed to be. Like, the best
should be about competition,
rising and getting through adversity, and then standing there looking down, going, oh, "I did it." You know, it's almost relief at the end. Like, I appreciate that part. I don't just need teams to roll through and win, because like what the Chiefs are going to do, like, I don't need that. I like teams that have to fight and get to the pinnacle and then look down and go, wow, we did it. You know,
it wasn't easy. I mean, it had to be a lot more difficult road to win a national championship under this format. And probably, I mean, one of the things that happened, Oregon was a number 1 team all year long. They were undefeated until they lost to Ohio State in the second round of the playoff. So, maybe they were exposed a little bit. I mean, Ohio State just ran all over them in the first half of the game. It was a blowout. But I mean, I would much rather see something like that transpire than having some fat ink-stained wretch just saying, hey, I got Oregon number 1.
Yeah, exactly.
At the season ended, as it has in the past, but where people voted on it, Oregon would have been the national champion. They didn't even make it out of the first game in this system. So, much better. And plus, it also accords teams that got better as the season rolled on.
Yep.
Where, I mean, how many championships would Bobby Bowden have had, the aforementioned Bobby Bowden?
At least 2 more.
If they had this system in place instead of just voting on a national champion back then.
Well, we've seen like that. It's like you're adjudicating upsets. Like, well, that team lost, so now it's. But that's what we love about sports, right? Is that on any given day, an upset can happen. So don't take that away from us. Like, it's okay that a team gets upset as long as they get back on the horse. And then, like Notre Dame did, like, I like that Notre Dame wasn't written off because they lost to an Northern Illinois team. Like, they fought back. They won 11 in a row. Like, they deserved a chance. Like, I just don't want they're going to bastardize it even more. That's the problem. They're going to go to 16. They're going to go to 30. Because they can't help themselves. Look, there were blowouts. They're going to always be blowouts.
Do you think there'll be that many teams? Because how many games can you play?
I don't know. This team played.
Four extra games seemed like a lot, didn't it? I mean, it was basically 3 extra games and 2 for some of the schools, but that's a lot. I mean, and when you look at the physicality of it, which we all know, I mean, how many guys are getting carried off the field on virtually every play? It's insane. Speaking of upsets, though, Lubie, here's one for you. It's happening right now as we speak. And this is early morning stuff. This match got underway about 5 in the morning Eastern time here in the United States. Alcaraz and Djokovic.
Okay.
Djokovic looks like he's completely on the ropes in the first set. His knee is bothering him. He's having trouble going to his right. Alcaraz is playing his game and looking sharp as always. He wins the first set 6-4. The Joker right now is serving up a break in the 4th set, up 2-1. So a 37, is he 37 or 38? Yeah, I think he's 37. Monfils is 38. And we were saying that he's a geriatric by tennis standards. Here's Djokovic, maybe about to move into this would put him in the semifinal. Yes.
37. He's 37.
Semifinal, and he's up a break on Alcaraz in the 4th set. If you're around a television set, you might want to tune that in. It's on ESPN2, but great stuff. And Coco Gauff went down in the tournament. She lost to the lovely Paula Badosa, who is sort of on the comeback trail of sorts. It's been a while. She's finally, I guess, getting her game back together after arduous battles with injuries, back injuries, all kinds of stuff. Thought she was going to retire. Started this big love affair with the TT Fly, TT Pass, and that's all over social media all the time. So you see a lot of great shots, pictures of Paula Badosa. But what we're seeing now is a better tennis player as she beats Coco Gauff, who was sensational so far this year.
Nice.
That happened. I guess that match probably was concluded before people actually nodded off and went to sleep. And so, yeah, really good stuff. But and Djokovic, interestingly now, is now in love 30. We're getting live action here, live reporting.
Nice.
Love up. He's 15-30, and he's up 4-3. So if he holds serve here, in a great position to go ahead and win the match. And if he gets broken here, then you put Alcaraz right back into the picture. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Jeff DeForce, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz. Glad you guys are on board with us. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to many days with you guys here in our new platform, on Bleacher Brothers, where I'll be later on this afternoon with another edition of Conversations. We're having a lot of fun with that show. And it's going to be a lot of fun today. One of my old boxing cronies, although I wasn't really this close to the guy, but I've sort of been around him many times, did call some matches with him. Randy Gordon, the commissioner, will be joining us. We're trying to arrange, if I spill the bean, I don't want to tout a surprise guest if it doesn't happen, right? That would be kind of lame, wouldn't it?
I definitely keep it a surprise until you
It's not like Ali's coming on. But I mean, in terms of moment of fame, this guy definitely had his moment. I hope it happens. I really do. Although I'm sort of skeptical that it will at this point. Anyway, that's coming up 4:00 today on Bleacher Brothers, along with all the other fine programming. And
Nice.
we'll be back with more of the Defo Show with Mike Lubie Lubitz in a moment. Now that
The time.
8:43. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzi, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzi, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage.
Hear me. I am the new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence. In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket? Power has driven him mad.
Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, more excerpts from the inauguration yesterday.
It actually was
So
worse.
funny. I always love when you got life imitating art, and I mean, this was a movie that was what is it, 50 years old?
76.
Maybe close
Late
to it.
70s. It's
70.
literally, when you brought it up, I thought you were the biggest dumbass. I'm like, Defo, like, why are
Oh
we
no,
talking?
you made the usual Lubie face when I suggest something.
Well, because it was early. Like, you were ahead of the curve. This was, I think, in like 2014, maybe 2015, maybe. But I think I'm underestimating you. I think it might have been like 2014 when you're like, Lubie, play a clip from Bananas. I'm like, Bananas? And I had heard of it because my dad loves Woody Allen. And I'm like, Bananas? I thought it was from the 80s. I'm like, it's from the fucking 70s, Defo.
70s,
Like, I'm telling you. So I just played the first few minutes of it. I'm like, oh, shit.
Couldn't have been any more on the money. I mean, unbelievable. This is exactly what's happening. And it's kind of like the book 1984, and we've blown way past 1984, and the guy was spot on, huh?
Brave New World, 1984. And again, people are like, these are the 7 books you need to read right now because they're not going to exist much longer. And it's 1984, Brave New World. There's a few others I haven't read that fit right in that same vein.
And here we are. Here we sit. We'll see what happens. We'll see where that goes. All right, many things taking place here in the sporting world as well. So in general, everybody's pretty satisfied. I think the college football playoff dignified itself as being worth using in this fashion, in this format. You're saying they're going to immediately butcher this and do something else?
In the next year or two, they're going to make it 16. I don't know. There's been talk.
Do we need 16 teams in this playoff? I don't know that we do.
No. They just want more SEC. It's not about needing. The SEC wasn't in the championship game. The SEC was barely in the fight.
Where is this Sankey guy? I mean, sanctimonious one from the SEC, SEC commissioner. What? He comes off as a bit of a douche, doesn't he? Sankey. Never mind Ron DeSanctimonious. That was the other thing too. Just an aside here, but all of the people that Trump used to crucify are now like his good buddies, right? Marco's guy unanimously approved this schmuck Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, for God's sake. I don't even know if you would want him running like the Biscayne Kennel Club when they had dog racing, much less.
No, he's a weasel. He's a whiny weasel who's literally never votes. Like he was voted to be in Congress and never votes. So what else is he doing but just running over and over again, collecting money? But he at least was the one dude that was willing to fake it. He said all the right things and against all the other people that he put up, Rubio at least doesn't feel like he's going to go over to Russia or fuck Russia because Russia is our buddy, this guy's buddy. But go to like Saudi Arabia.
You'll be your children will be speaking Russian, I believe.
He's the one dude that exactly. He's the one dude that won't go to Saudi Arabia and go fuck your oil and fuck the fucking your book and screw you. You know, he's the one dude that's going to go over there and play nice. So they're like, all right.
Hey, listen, Abdul, you're going to do it my way. Exactly.
Like your women should be naked and running in the street. You know, like he's the one guy that at least the one candidate for the cabinet that at least looks sane. They're like, all right, fuck it. We need to let this guy through because this is going to take a long time to get through the rest of these people.
Joker wins that game. He comes back from down 15-40, comes back, wins 5-3. He's up in the 4th set. So at the very worst, if he loses this game where Alcaraz is serving, he'll be serving for the match.
Wow.
I would have never thought that. You know what? This in-game betting has to be the way that we eventually move. All right. And you should take the absolute worst, least likely proposition as things are transpiring. You see, Djokovic had to leave the court with medical people.
Oh, God.
And you could see that there was something bothering him about his knee, which had been repaired with surgery, a torn meniscus that he tore, at the French Open? And he came back remarkably like 2 days later, and I was playing in another big tournament at Wimbledon. And you're asking yourself, what the hell? They're very strict about checking for drugs in tennis. So I don't think, where you were looking at Victor Conti time there, although I never saw. Did we see Victor in Djokovic's box? It's a Sue Wellman thing, right?
Exactly.
Is that Roger? Is John Sterling going to come back this year? It is high. It is far. It is caught by the catcher. Another one. Smokey Burgess. He's got it right in the glove. Anyway, and you would have not given a nickel for this guy's chances at any price, Lubie. If you saw him walking off the court there, it wasn't like he was limping and nobody really knew what was bothering him, but it was pretty clear cut. And even McEnroe, who many people are not happy with, John McEnroe, they're saying that he's mailing it in, that he doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about anymore. I still think, he picked up on this right away. The guy couldn't go to his right.
Interesting.
Kind of like my basketball career. I was all left. I couldn't go to I could go there, but I wasn't comfortable doing it. And he's cringing in pain. Now, if you would had any kind of, maybe we should do this as a matter of routine because the prices you're going to get on in-game betting are when Notre Dame is trailing and you're thinking, well, I'll wait till it gets to be 31-7 and then I'll bet them. You still would have, gotten your ass kicked. But in the case of Djokovic, it's 5-4 now. He's serving for the match. You would not have given not even a half a cent for his chances of winning the election. Same thing I would have thought about Donald Trump, who won the election. So maybe we should be doing this instead of trying to pick sides, because it's agonizing trying to pick who's going to win against the point spread, isn't it, Lubie? I mean, why would we want to torture ourselves when we could just make a bet like, hey, maybe Crazy Legs Hirsch is going to score a touchdown in this game?
That's what they do.
Yeah, and that's really where the action is. And then in-game betting, I think I'm beginning to believe, and maybe this is a giant mistake in my old age, that I would be really good at that.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, look, it's what Andy does. Andy just is like, screw it. This team has no shot. The odds are really fun. He probably puts a lot more than most people would in that situation.
No, this guy's betting with both fists.
And then you just write it out, like, why not? Like, if you're going, it's like you with horses. Like, if you're going to bet, why not try and make the biggest score you can? And that's what that feels like.
That's the way to do it. Put up a small amount of money to try and win a lot. That's the way gambling should be approached. Although, many people, does anybody know somebody that's satisfied to just grind it out?
Yes, I mean, the numbers he uses.
Grind it out. Like
the numbers he uses when he's really excited are not grinded out numbers. But yes, that's Ken's literal strategy. But again, he does it more of like a quote unquote, like a job. Like he sees it long term over the course of a season. He doesn't think of it as, making a score. Like Ken doesn't usually. I don't know if I've ever heard Ken even use that term. Like
you're talking about the professor.
Yeah. He does it over the long haul. Like he counts it over the season.
See, I couldn't stand to keep track of that stuff.
I'm aware. We're all aware. That's his frustration with you. The antithesis.
Fuck wants to know how much money you lost. I really don't. I don't want to see that number. We've said it forever, Lubie. They're the reason that degenerate gamblers die with their mouths wide open is because the last thing that flashes before them in big white letters, numbers, is the amount of money you lost lifetime gambling. And you're like, you were right, Ma. I'll be up there in a minute.
You were right, Ma. God.
I'm a loser. Unbelievable. All right, so Ohio State national champions, Canes are 40-1. Lubie, if you wanted to get down on Mario Cristobal winning a national championship, I would bet against that.
Yes, I don't think I think they repeat this year, except they're worse. So they will once again not make an AC title game, but I don't see them winning more than 8 games. I mean, Beck is not Cam Ward.
We don't even know if Beck can raise his arm above his
That's
shoulder.
the thing is, too, Beck literally just had surgery.
It was like Tommy John surgery.
It supposedly isn't exactly Tommy John. The ulnar is an adjacent thing. It is the elbow, but it's not exactly Tommy John. But exactly, it's still a thing that you don't see with quarterbacks often. And the next year,
come back and be throwing that left-handed slop. Really, you call that a strike? What do I look like, Randy Jones? Get out of here. So you're not optimistic about it. I mean, even if he comes back as sharp as he was, which you would have to think maybe is unlikely. And somebody sat down with the guy and gave him what? Anywhere from $2 to $4 million? Is that the rumored?
Oh, the $3 to $4 million.
There's no verification on this kind of stuff, Lubie. Nothing.
No. There's reports that it was $3 to $4 million, but then there was the reports that this is the part I don't believe. I believe $3 to $4 million, but that he was already making $10 million in NIL because Miami's the most amazing city ever, and you're just gonna make the most amazing money in Miami. That just feels like Miami fans lying to themselves to try and make Miami more appealing for college kids, which it's not. It's a great city for adults. College kids have never flocked to Miami. Miami's not a college town. It's actually the antithesis of a college town. That $10 million number, I don't believe even for a second. The $3 to $4 million, I believe, because you're seeing guys get $2 to $4 million.
Had I known,
we have grandkids.
I would have gladly skipped Syracuse. Come down here, man. All you have to do to get a recruit, and we always said that, was take a kid to the pool somewhere and see these bikini-clad babes in January. And who's going to go to Penn State? Oh, what are you kidding me? But that's not the way it works anymore. That's a certainty, and money speaks on 40-1. I just don't believe that Mario Cristobal as a coach will ever win a national championship. If you wanted to give me a guy, and this isn't to be overly critical and always derogatory about Mario Cristobal, I just don't see him. But people would have said the same thing about Ryan Day, would they not? Or Marcus Freeman.
No, Ryan Day is out there.
Yeah, so I just don't see Cristobal. I don't know where he's going to win a national championship. I doubt that he'll be here. 40-1 though, Lubie.
I mean, if you want, fine. I don't see them even getting out of the ACC, let alone. There's He's not a good coach, and it's not even a question anymore at this point. Like I think we know what he is. He doesn't develop players. He's a used car salesman. He's good at fooling people to get him to come here, and then you don't see anyone get better. Like Ward. If you watch Ward at Washington State, he was the same guy who he cut down on the turnovers. No, he played shitty defenses. Like people forget that Pac-12 was one of the that Pac-12 had like 8 teams that were ranked. Like, and they were really good. It wasn't your Pac-12. It wasn't the 8. Like, it was defensive heavy. Like, that Pac-12 had great defenses up and down. So they would force him to do that. He still did it this year. He still took chances. You play shitty defenses and was taking chances. He just didn't play the same level of competition. If you watch Ward, he was the same dude. They didn't develop. It was 1 year. They didn't develop him. Cristobal's had these classes, and you don't see any of the kids growing and becoming beasts. Like,
no. He just has that look on his face like he's a little bit lost all the time.
Yep.
Doesn't he? Something bad happens. His reaction doesn't strike me as that of the kind of guy that you would want leading your team out of that funk.
Well, the thing he did with Ward, like last week, he suddenly was like, it's bullshit. Like, of course he didn't quit. Dude, after the game was your chance to say, you're his coach. Why didn't you stick up for him? Why didn't you say, well, that was our plan the whole time? Even if it's a lie, you know, coaches, like
sure.
If you really are for your players, yeah, well, that was our plan. I know you don't agree with it, but he probably shouldn't have even played at all, but we appreciated him going out there and giving us a chance because if you notice when he left, we were tied. Just think what it could have been without him. You saw the second half. We appreciate everything Ken Ward did for us this year. He put us on the map. You know, he didn't say any of those things. He did the Cristobal thing. He was like, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you're the reason why people – it inflamed. You said nothing.
We could have had the Pop-Tarts championship. Very good, Mario. Chalk City here with the early lines for next year's college football champion. Ohio State installed as a favorite. Texas is right behind them. You're getting 6.5 to 1. Oregon, same price. Georgia 7 to 1. Penn State 8.5.
Throw Alabama.
Notre Dame 12 to 1. I don't know if they bounce back and do that. Alabama is like 16 to 1. Clemson, I don't know. I mean, is it all chalk? Are we going to see the same 4 or 5 teams every year that are actually in contention for this thing, and everybody else is out to pasture? All right, so that's it. Tear up the format, but in order to Ohio State, and thank you for kicking that field goal round, If you would, he couldn't sit on the ball. That was a beauty. I'm sitting there trying to figure out how many times that they have to snap the ball while they're eating up 40 seconds of play clock. And I'm trying to do the math here. So that's 81-60. Wow. I mean, that could have eaten up almost all of the 2 minutes. But, Notre Dame had the one timeout. Thank God for that.
And there's a 2-minute warning, a 2-minute timeout that play happened before. So that's why they sort of had to just say screw it and go for the score instead of doing the smart thing and run the clock out. Where it's like, if you go up by 2 touchdowns, Notre Dame's not scoring fucking 2 touchdowns in 30 seconds. Like,
no.
So just get the touchdown.
All right, Lubie, a lot of fun today. Thanks very much. We survived it. Day number 1. We'll see what day number 2 brings. So that was a doozy, though. I mean, you would never run out of stories, would you?
No. Look, I've started on TikTok on another channel just doing political stuff because it's like I need somewhere to vent. Shirley doesn't want to hear me. You guys don't want to hear me. We don't really want to make the shows about that, and I agree to not make the shows about it.
8 years already.
I need an event. I mean, it was one fucking day. Like it's not a joke. Like every hour there was like, what? Go from what?
Both keepers, Proud Boys come up again.
Musk, what? Like every hour it was like. So you people really
I wish it really was just purely hilarious, but
no, it's not. It's scary.
Serious consequences.
The fucking thing they want to do with immigrants is not like it's not a joke. Like it's not he's not going to really do it thing. Like.
So somebody knocked on my door this morning. I hid under the bed.
Yeah, we're citizens, white people.
It was the paper guy saying, quit complaining about my late delivery.
Exactly.
You're costing me money. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:01.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.